go. We're not going to go right down the card, guys. We'll just pick we'll pick the main three fights. Start off with Lewis Crocker against Conor Walker. 10-rounder. Lewis Crocker is, in my opinion, one of the most improved fighters we've got. I think personally, I think this will be an easy night's work. But I'll cut Darren. You're going to the show. Give me your breakdown, mate.
I really rate Lewis Crocker, and they are like building this up as could be a close-ish fight, but because I think Lewis Crocker is that good, I think he'll pretty much dominate Conor Walker. To be honest, I think from what we've seen of him so far, I can't see anything. I don't know if he'll win by stoppage, but I think he'll definitely dominate on points if he doesn't stop him late. But I think it's like Carl said, I think the card's pretty decent, and there's a lot of fights on the card where can swing either way, which is what we like from domestic shows. But I do really rate Lewis Crocker, and I think he'll win comfortably to what a lot of people think.
Harrison, what's your opinion?
Yeah, I'd agree, I think. But then I suppose Conor Walker's really put himself into the limelight. It's the Cyrus Patterson one that we all keep coming back to, because we at one stage were talking about him being, he's our next boy, isn't he? He's going to be the one that goes off and wins a world title. And then there was a bit of a freeze. But the thing is, the way that the division's sort of reassembled itself now nicely, I do think that we have got a really good star in our hands in Lewis Crocker. The Paddy Donovan fight, obviously people are talking about that a mile off, aren't they? But I don't know. There's something about Lewis Crocker that I really like. He's gone up the levels in the last couple of fights. That fight night last time out when he had Belfast behind him, he's got a good support as well, like a really good support. I'd have people in that part of the world who've been going to his shows, and this is the perfect fight for him at this stage in his career as well, to really get a big audience, get a good win behind him. I think he'll stop Conor Walker as well. I really do. I'm impressed with his power at that level. So I think that he'll stop him. Conor Walker will give him a couple of rounds. He's a really well-respected domestic fighter. But for me, Lewis Crocker will get him out of there rounds 8 to 9, I think.
Orkan, have you seen much of Lewis Crocker?
Yeah. And I was very impressed with him, how easily he handled Felix in his last fight, who surprise beat Gary Kelly in Dublin. And so I rate Lewis Crocker very high. So I think Lewis Crocker will win on a late stoppage. And then I'm looking forward to the Paddy Donovan fight in Belfast in the autumn. And I plan to see that fight live in Belfast if he beat Conor Walker. I think that fight will be a massive fight for Belfast. And I think the atmosphere in Belfast for that fight, if it will happen, will be awesome. That's why I'm looking forward to head to Belfast for the first time for boxing if the fight happens.
It'll almost be a bit too good, to be honest with you, because obviously there's a massive, he's got that pro-Belfast crowd behind him, but then Paddy Donovan brings quite a big interest from the south of Ireland. And the thing is, you want to really cross your fingers here and just hope that Lewis Crocker gets through this fine, because if those two meet in Belfast, that will be bouncing.
Cole, anything else to add on this than the other boys already have?
I would add. This is a fine demonstration of matchmaking for a prospect. So I draw parallels with Ben Whittaker. What a job Eddie Hearn's doing with Crocker, right? I think none of us can look at this and go, what awful matchmaking this is. It makes sense why he's putting him in with him. So that's something I'd like to add there. I think, like I said, this just demonstrates again the different in levels of matchmaking. I'm not on commission to Matchroom. Which was.
Okay, lads. Moving on to what is a very intriguing and I think going to be a barnstormer of a British and Commonwealth Superfly title fights. Shannon Ryan is trying to take away Emma Dolan's Commonwealth Superfly title. The British title is vacant. They've added this to the show. We've obviously seen Emma Dolan a number of times now, Carl, so I'll come to you first. How do you see the fight playing out?
I'm really trying to find a way where Emma Dolan wins this because I so wanted to win this fight. So I'm clutching at straws here. I've got notes saying Shannon Ryan's only gone over 10 rounds twice. Emma Dolan's gone over 3 times. Listen, Emma Dolan's Ranger, right? She's got long levers. So, yeah, I'm gonna go. She's not meant to win this. Let's be right. Emma Dolan is not meant to win this fight, but I think she's gonna beat her, and I think she's gonna beat her over points. So I'm gonna go Emma Dolan beat Shannon Ryan over points. There you go. I think I've convinced
Harrison, what's your breakdown, mate?
You've done your Nottingham commission there very well, I suspect.
Yeah, thank you.
I have to burst the bubble a little bit, I think. And firstly, I should point a bit of praise to the British Boxing Board of Control here. It's fantastic to see another one of these belts being created for the division. We're getting to that stage now in British boxing, but hopefully it's across the board in the next 2 or 3 years, but it's great to see that being fought for the first time. Yeah, I just think Shannon Ryan's a bit too good. But then again, I don't think it's a way and gone like I would with most female fights because there's such a distinct parallel of how good the British are against the others that come up. I don't think she's a million miles better than Emma Dolan, but I've only seen her fight once. I've seen all of Shannon Ryan's fights, but she's a very, very good technical boxer. She's one of those, not a lot of power in her hands, but then not what you'd expect, but her ring craft, her IQ, really top from what we've seen. She's not been in against great opposition. I suppose that's got to be pointed out. I know the last she beat last time out was undefeated, but there's a chance that Emma Dolan could cause a bit of an upset here. But I think everything's working in Shannon Ryan's favour for this one. I'm sure she'll have a bit of support up there as well, and I just think she's just a bit too good. She'll win this on points, but I don't think it'll be too wide.
Darren?
Yeah, I think obviously, we're going to see a distance fight, but I do think for what it will be, I think it will be an exciting fight. I think they'll both, come bring it to each other. I agree with Harrison a little bit. I would say that Shannon Ryan's got a little bit too much for Emma Dolan, and I think it'll probably be just a closest points decision. But I do think it'll be a very, very entertaining scrap because they'll both come forward, and I think it'll be a bit of a tear up, to be honest. But they both haven't got the power to sort of stop each other. But Shannon Ryan, close points.
Håkan, were you at the Emma Dolan Nicola Oatwell fight?
Yes, and I was very impressed with Emma Dolan in that fight in Sheffield last year, and I purchased my tickets through Nicola, so I was on Nicola's side beforehand for the fight, and met Nicola for the first time when I got the tickets through her. But I was very impressed with Emma in that fight. And my only concern for Emma Dolan is how her injury was when the fight was meant to be on the Next Gen show in London in February. And then I was at that show. And then Shannon Ryan fought Jasmina Sapotoshna, the Polish girl based in England. And Shannon Ryan was I was impressed with Shannon Ryan in that fight. So the concern for Emma Dolan is just she has been out now for a while, and that's my concern. And after the injury, so I think it will be a close fight, but I think Shannon Ryan wins on a close decision.
I don't think it was a physical injury, though.
Okay.
I think it was an illness.
It
was an illness that was stopping the training. I think it was an illness that was stopping the training the way she needed to train for the fight.
Okay.
Don't you know? If I'm wrong on that, I apologise.
Yeah,
But I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
When you say that, I think you're right. When you say when I hear from you now that it was an illness. When you say it.
So I've got a completely different take to everybody else. I actually think that Emma Dolan's got all the tools to make this fight as easy or as hard as she wants to, and I'll tell you for why. So Carl mentioned that she's got levers, long levers, and she uses them really, really, really well. Shannon Ryan, as Harrison has already said, is a very skilled boxer. The problem that she's got is she's the way she fights is she's a compact fighter. She's going to have to try and get inside of Emma Dolan's levers. Now, Emma's very, very good at timing fighters coming in. And the improvement that she's made under Carl Greaves in the last year and a half is staggering. From the fight that we saw on the early Carl Greaves show, where she won the Commonwealth title, to a year on, or maybe just less than a year on, when she fought Nicola Hopewell, was night and day. And she's had another 6 months on top of that now to work with Carl again on other things. And I actually think, yeah, you're right in what you're saying, that she's not meant to win this fight. You know, they're bringing her in for Shannon Ryan to be British champion and Commonwealth champion. I don't think it plays out like that at all. And like I say, as long as Emma Dolan sticks to what I believe the game plan will be, which will be keep along, tag her when she comes in. I think it's Emma's to lose. I'm picking Emma Dolan on points.
1-0 Scotland, by the way.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wow.
what a way to ruin a good evening.
Own goal.
Own goal. Okay.
Yeah.
Still got
Sweden get. Oh, they're not there. Oh, they're never mind. Moving on. Sorry.
I'm just supporting the opposition to England. So when Sweden
That's not very nice, is
isn't
it?
there.
Supposed to love the us
That's because the way you put it on him the other day, Carl.
Well, what I said was factually true.
Anyway, back to the boxing. Seems though this is a boxing show.
Sorry.
Onto the headliner, main event. European champion, middleweight European champion, EBU Tyler Denny defends against Felix Cash. Straight off the bat, what a brilliant fight. And I'm sure we'll all break it down in different ways. I'm going to come to you first, Carl. Is this more about what Felix Cash turns up rather than what Tyler Denny can do?
Yes. If Felix Cash is anywhere near his best, he'll outclass Tyler Denny every day of the week and twice on Sundays. So, yeah, it's all about what I'll say what desire he's got left, because he's been very inactive, hasn't he? Through one reason and another. So if Felix Cash has got his head back in the game and he wants to prove a point, I think he'll prove a point in this fight. I'm going for him to stop Tyler Denny round 6. I think it'll be an easy night's work.
Harrison, Felix Cash hasn't fought for a year and a half.
Okay, yeah.
And before that, he was very inactive. Fought twice in 2022, once in 21, once in 2020, and then twice in. It's not a very good recipe, is it, going into a fight like this?
Yeah, and it's been quite well documented, his sort of issues outside of the ring, and we obviously wish all boxers the absolute best, and that inactivity is going to play havoc to some extent, but whether or not Tyler Denny's good enough to cause enough fluctuation to really get Felix Cash off his best game is going to be another question. And I agree somewhat with Carl, because I do think Felix Cash, even with this long layoff and the problems, him on his day, he's a mile clear of the domestic scene for me personally. I know this is for the European title, but for me, Felix Cash is the best middleweight we have at current, with the fallout of Denzel Bentley and others. Really, really technically skilled boxer. Good enough hitter when he needs to be as well. He's got a bit of power about him, and he could blast Tyler Denny out of there. But I think this for me is going to go for points, because I think Tyler Denny's good enough. He can take a punch, and he's been good in recent fights, obviously doing that European title. But I think Felix Cash is just really, really exceptional, and I hope that he goes on to do bigger things, because I think the middleweight division at the minute, not that strong, to be completely honest. We've seen that on the PBC card on the other night. Carlos Adames not looking very good. So I think that Felix Cash will win this and hopefully go on to world honours then. But I think he'll win it on points.
Darren, come on. Let's hear it for Team Birmingham. Let's hear it for Team Denner. The positives for Denny is what a performance he had last time out. He is catching Felix Cash in a bit of a transition period. Am I right in thinking that he's no longer with Tony Sims? Before I say that, I think he's left Tony Sims, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think he has. Yeah,
and that obviously that can always be a bit difficult for a fighter. That first fight with a new trainer. Break down the fight for me. You know, obviously, I'm sure in your heart you want Tyler Denny to come through the fight. How do you think it goes?
Well, I actually think you're all doing Tyler Denny a bit of discredit here. I think he's massively improved. We obviously know Felix Cash has been very inactive. It's not a guarantee how he's going to come back. He's had his mental health problems. You know, but glad he's over that now. But like Harrison said, you know, we don't know how he's going to come back. And with Tyler Denny's wins that he's had as of late, you know, his last few fights, I think that Tyler Denny could win this on points. I accept that Felix Cash on paper, you know, is the better fighter. The Denzel Bentley fight was along, 3 years ago or something now. But, you know, you look at some of Tyler Denny's wins. He's had Brad Pauls on his record. Okay, lost a majority decision to Linda Sedofia. But, you know, still a good name on the record. But the Brad Pauls fight, you know, he fought really well against Nathan Heaney. He could have won that fight. And I just think the inactivity of Felix Cash really is going to play a part in this fight. You know, I think it's going to go a distance fight as the rounds start getting further and further in. He hasn't been in the ring for as long as we say. I think Tyler Denny will win it on a close points decision. I do. I think he's been given a bit of discredit here. I think it's a lot of a tougher fight for Felix Cash than people think.
Håkan, how do you break the fight down?
I was at the Tyler Dennis fight about a year ago in my only show in Birmingham when he fought McGowan. It was a very close fight, very good, very entertaining fight to watch. But the rest of the card was pretty boring on that night. And then when he won the European title against the Italian Signali. He was very impressed. I was very impressed with Tyler Denny in that fight. So I agree with Darren. I think that some people overlooked Denny. I think Cash, the old Felix Cash 2 years ago, before the layoff, wins this fight pretty easy. But I'm not sure about Felix Cash when he has been out for so long. So I agree with Darren. I will go with a close decision for Tyler Denny.
I don't think here's my breakdown, guys. I don't think Felix Cash has been the same fighter since the Bentley fight. I saw him his last fight out in Leeds on the undercard to Warrington Lopez. He was dreadful because he couldn't blow the guy away. He had no plan B. He didn't know what to do. He didn't know how to deal with a guy when he couldn't put it on him, he didn't know what to do. He was lucky to get the decision. That was the night that Amo Williams was there on commentary, because had Felix Cash looked really good that night, they were making the fight with Amo. That was the point. That was the point of him being there. They even had a little bit of a confrontation outside the ring afterwards. Obviously, things happen. People get injuries. He's now moved on from one training to another. I'm with Darren a little bit here. I think it's a closer fight than we all think in our heads and on paper, because of what we've seen Felix Cash do in the past. He's been out a long time, guys. And the last time he was out, he was poor. So he's got to have improved massively and done a lot of work in camp to get anywhere near the level he was at previously. He might have the bit between his teeth, and he might come storming out. I think it's going to be a very, very, very close fight. I think it will go to points. But I do think Felix Cash will have just enough to scrape a points victory. But there's a lot of questions for me. A lot of questions. And Denny's very capable of putting him under pressure and asking them. It's a very good fight. I think it'll be a very good fight. Very tactical from Tyler Denny's side. Felix Cash will try and put it on him. And it's whether he's capable of changing up his game plan to then come through the fight over 12 rounds for me. But yeah, I'm going to go Felix Cash just on point.